This journalist is as talented as he is charming. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Anderson Cooper moments.
So I found this place, the Warming Store, which is a small business in Philadelphia that sells heated clothing. I didn't know heated clothing existed.
I didn't either.
I've been doing this for 15 friggin' years.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at singular moments from Cooper's life and career. Books that examine a wider time in his life, however, such as his memoir Dispatches from the Edge, will be excluded.
Dozens of children still at risk of starvation and early death, but smiling and strong enough to enjoy themselves and joke around with me.
Number 10. Underground reporting from Myanmar. After interning at the CIA and studying in Vietnam, Anderson Cooper decided to pursue a career for himself reporting the news, despite having no formal journalistic training. Following his graduation from Yale, he got a job as a fact-checker for Channel 1 News, but was pigeonholed and unable to rise up into a reporting job.
I just have to go to really dangerous places and go to places that other people don't want to go to or too scared to go to.
Cooper then took matters into his own hands, forging a press pass to sneak into Myanmar and report on the students' fight against the government.
And as soon as I had shot the story, as soon as I was there, my first day there, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
He was then able to sell these homemade reports back to Channel 1, effectively kickstarting his career with this brave and risky move. Number 9. Planet in Peril. A monumental two-part miniseries that aired on CNN. Planet in Peril was a documentary created by Cooper with longtime collaborator Dr. Sanjay Gupta, biologist Jeff Gorwin, and Lisa Ling of National Geographic. The ambitious series covered the state of the world and the many threats facing it and its people, including climate change, overpopulation, species loss, and deforestation.
The need for food, the international food crisis, is causing people to go deeper and deeper into forest habitat.
The documentary showed how the dangers to the environment were already taking effect, traveling to places like the Amazon to show the vast deforestation there, and the oil conflict in the Niger River Delta. Number 8. Covfefe Tweets. When President Donald Trump sent out the bizarre tweet, despite the constant negative press Covfefe late at night, and quickly deleted it in the morning, the world was left wondering and laughing. Was Covfefe a mysterious secret code, tweeted to everyone and known only to a certain few? Or could it perhaps be that Trump fell asleep on his phone?
Was it all just a dream? The wind whispered, Covfefe.
The internet, of course, had a field day with the newly invented word, coming up with a storm of jokes and tongue-in-cheek explanations for Covfefe. In a brilliant fake serious tone, Cooper read off many of the most hilarious responses in one of his most memorable The Ridiculous segments.
If you think you're above Covfefe, you're part of the Propfefe.
Number 7. Obama White House interview. Less than a month after Obama took office in 2009, he granted an interview to Anderson Cooper inside the Oval Office. And this was one of Obama's first interviews as a sitting president.
Do you feel you've lost some of that moral high ground which you set for yourself on day one with the ethics?
Well, I think this was a mistake.
Not shying away from hard-hitting questions, Cooper asked Obama about tough issues, including the controversy surrounding Tom Daschle, a senator policy advisor who Obama had nominated for Health and Human Services Secretary. Despite the curveballs, the pair was respectful towards each other throughout the interview, while providing a glimpse into the president's plans and motivations going forward.
I didn't do all this just to occupy this fancy office. I came here to change things.
Number 6. Getting the giggles. Despite being one of the most talented reporters out there, Cooper certainly has a jovial side as well, as he's demonstrated a number of times during more lighthearted or comical segments.
Alright, sorry.
In fact, when a story is particularly ridiculous, he might even fall into a fit of the giggles, with the best example of this being his coverage of how French actor Gérard Depardieu relieved himself while on an airplane.
So Depardieu created his own little jet stream, or as the French would say, oui oui.
Rattling off a storm of toilet humor-related puns, Cooper cracked up in hysterical laughter, his boyish charm and good nature on full display.
Now all I can say is they should thank their lucky stars it wasn't Depardieu.
Number 5. Bombing in Gaza. On a much more serious note, Cooper has never shied away from reporting from dangerous and volatile situations. And his reporting from Gaza as violence escalated between the Israelis and Palestinians in 2012 showed just how dangerous an environment he was willing to work in. As he was reporting live from the scene, an explosion just a few miles away rocked Cooper and his crew.
That was a rather large explosion.
Yeah.
The journalist ducked, assessed the situation, and then went on with the newscast, keeping his composure throughout. While many other newscasters would have fled, or likely not have even been so close to danger in the first place, Cooper stood his ground, shaken, but never faltering. Number 4. Debating Kellyanne Conway. When it comes to holding public figures accountable, Cooper has always been one of the more dedicated news people, frequently calling out guests he feels have twisted the truth or straight up lied.
None of that has anything to do with today's actions, has nothing to do with what Mr. Rosenstein
Jeff Sessions
concluded.
said that, though, and now you're taking issue with that very announcement.
With that in mind, it should come as no surprise that the fact-adjusting spin machine and former Donald Trump campaign manager became a person he consistently clashed with during and following the 2016 presidential campaign. Conway's antics became so comical that Cooper actually let his professionalism slip and rolled his eyes at her.
You're conflating two things that don't belong together. Thanks for the trip down memory lane. I was on your show often last fall saying we were going to win Michigan and how we were going to do it. So that was fun. But here's what happened today.
Their dynamic became so noteworthy that Saturday Night Live even parodied her and Cooper's interactions with a skit where Conway took on the role of Pennywise from It.
Let's give him a good show. Right, Coopy?
Kellyanne?
Number 3. Coming out as gay. Speculation about Cooper's sexuality had been swirling for years, and while he had been out to his friends and family for decades, he had decided to keep his private life out of the public realm. Citing that he should report the news and not be the news, he refused to publicly confirm whether he was straight or gay for years. Eventually, however, Cooper acknowledged his sexuality publicly by way of an email to a friend who's also a writer and editor, in which he said he didn't want the public to feel he was ashamed of his sexuality. Cooper's decision has undoubtedly inspired countless people to be accepting of themselves and others.
Words do have power, and they're used like weapons. And when you're a kid, it can change the way you see yourself.
Number 2. Saving a boy during the 2010 Haitian riots. In yet another example of Cooper putting himself right in the middle of a dangerous situation while reporting, he was in Haiti during the violent riots that arose in the aftermath of the earthquake that rocked the island nation. In the chaos, Cooper came across a boy who'd been struck in the head by passing looters, badly bleeding, and clearly concussed and disoriented.
Come here.
Noticing he was too out of it to walk, Cooper heroically grabbed the boy and literally carried him to safety as he passed the injured youngster over a barricade. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
I try to be really polite to all my guests. I just think you're dreadful, and I honestly don't want to talk to you anymore. So I'm just going to stop. And I've actually muted the president on Twitter. Don't tell him.
What?
I've muted him.
You can do that?
Yeah, when you get annoying people tweeting you, you don't want to delete because then that tells them you've deleted them.
Oh.
So if you just mute them, they think you're still following them, and you don't actually see their tweets.
What does it mean to you?
It means to me that I had the hard heart of a child from then on, and that I could survive things. And I did.
Number 1. Coverage of the Orlando nightclub shooting. Some of the reasons Cooper has become one of the most respected and recognized news people in the United States include his dedication, his honesty, and most of all, his passion. His emotional coverage of the tragic domestic terrorist attack at Pulse, a gay Orlando nightclub which claimed almost 50 lives and injured dozens more, had all of those qualities on display.
There are more than a list of names. There are people who loved and were loved. There are people who had families and friends and dreams.
His tear-filled coverage of the shooting's aftermath, and his decision to not read the shooter's name and instead give a touching tribute to those whose lives were lost, earned praise from his peers and the public. Many have said that Cooper's coverage of the tragedy is what journalism should be.
Antonio Devon Brown was a captain in the, excuse me, was a captain in the U.S. Army Reserve and a graduate of Florida A&M. He was 29.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.